Let's move on to the latest edition of the Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz here between AEW and WWE NXT. Both shows were taped episodes from this week, so let's just get right into it here. We'll begin it with NXT first. It took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Mauro Ranallo did the commentary for the first hour. He taped it from his home in California, apparently. So the show got underway right away here with an NXT Women's Championship #1 contender ladder match here. We had the 6 women here. We had Io Shirai, Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, Candice LeRae, Chelsea Green, and Mia Yim here. I didn't think this was too bad. I thought this was actually pretty good for the most part. Each lady pretty much got a chance to shine, but we get towards the end here. We're down to Io Shirai and Candice LeRae here. They're working their way up the ladder to try to get to the top to grab it, and then we see Io Shirai just pie-face Candice LeRae off the ladder onto another ladder onto a bridge, so she's taken out, and then sure enough, Io Shirai pulls down the briefcase to win the match, so it will be Io Shirai taking on Charlotte Flair for the NXT Women's title going forward here in an upcoming match in the future. So I didn't see no big deal with Io Shirai winning. I know she's just recently coming back now, so they're giving her the big rub right away here. And then we'll talk about Candice LeRae here in a little bit as well. We got footage from the Finn Balor-Alexander Wolf NXT UK match that was shown here, and then afterwards, Finn Balor went on to say that both he and Walter are unable to make their next move right now because of what's going on, but when they can, he's coming for Walter's NXT UK title. So, obviously, I guess Finn Balor is more of a babyface again here because, Imperium is supposed to be a heel faction, so that's what they're going for, so we had that. So we can't wait to see that. Should be pretty good. We got Indus Sheer taking on Everrise. This Indus Sheer group is Malcolm Bevan's new tag team. That was the team that attacked Matt Riddle on television here recently. They had the match here. Everrise got a few shots in, but Indus Sheer wound up winning here. They win. They won with the variation of the old demolition decapitation move there that they used to use as their finisher back in the day. So that's how they won here. We got another Adam Cole promo on Velveteen Dream from an outdoor location at his home in Florida there. So Adam Cole there, continuing to cut a promo on Velveteen Dream saying he's still not going to get a title shot, but we know it's going to happen at some point. We got highlights of the NXT Women's title match from WrestleMania between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Of course, Charlotte won. And then in the final thing here in the night here, this went the whole last hour. It was the final match, supposedly, of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa here. This was an hour-long match. Anything goes. The match was filmed in cinematic style, much like they did with the Undertaker AJ Styles match. Not as much music here, but I thought this was actually pretty good. They were at the soundstage there at Full Sail, I believe is where they were, even though they didn't officially say, but I believe that's where it was. Once Triple H dropped the chair in the ring, he left. The referee was there, empty building with the referee in the ring. They just went at it. They went at it head to head, toe to toe, all over the building here. They did stuff off the top rope, stuff through tables. They were on top of a production truck outside at one point doing that. We see, we just get towards the end of the match here. They had, I believe it was Ciampa who tore the ring apart at one point, exposing the wood underneath the mat in the ring. So they get to that. Candice LeRae actually does show up here. She declared that she, quotes, hates her husband, and then she kicked her husband into Bargain Basement Alley here. He sells it like death. Ciampa then reluctantly does try to go over to help Gargano and apologizes for everything that's happened, and then Gargano apologized as well, but it was a setup because Candice LeRae came in from behind and then took Tommaso Ciampa to Bargain Basement Alley. Gargano was revealed that he was wearing a cup, so he was faking selling, and then so basically they were in on it together, and then ultimately Johnny Gargano hit the pedigree to win the match. So he hit Tommaso Ciampa's own move on him, and that was it. So Johnny Gargano got the win, and that was it. After the match, we see Candice LeRae helping Johnny to their vehicle, and as they drove off, we see another vehicle with two people inside. It was Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux, so clearly they're going to be having some sort of interaction in this program. More than likely, they're going to have Killer Cross and Tommaso Ciampa doing stuff going forward here, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. But that was it. That was WWE NXT that took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Let's talk about AEW now. Of course, it took place. This was a taped episode as well. This took place from the Nightmare Factory in Norcross, Georgia. The show opened with a promo from Jake the Snake Roberts here. He basically goes on to say that he predicts that Cody will lose his TNT Championship Tournament match to Shawn Spears later on in the show, so he won't have to face Lance Archer. We'll talk about that match when we get there. Your commentary team for the night here was Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho, and I will say that Chris Jericho I thought was pretty good here. Him and Tony Schiavone had a pretty good chemistry here, and they supposedly taped a lot of the shows together here, about 7 to 8 hours worth apparently. So Jericho I thought was pretty good here on commentary. Opening contest, we had Lance Archer taking on Alan Angels here. Not a whole lot to it. Lance Archer won pretty much in a squash here, not much to say. Women's action was up next here. We had Hikaru Shida taking on Britt Baker here. I thought this was decent. Of course, the big moment from the match, Britt Baker's nose inadvertently got busted open during the match here, and she was bleeding heavily. Kind of had vibes of that Becky Lynch scene from, I think it was Survivor Series a couple of years ago when I believe it was Nia Jax who busted her nose inadvertently, so I kind of got vibes of that. So Britt Baker, she continued the match here. At one point, she tries to go for her lockjaw here. She's not really able to get it on. Ultimately, Hikaru Shida was able to recover and eventually and ultimately won the match with a running knee strike, and it looked like it caught her pretty good. It looked like Baker was out for the count there temporarily, but she got pinned and Hikaru Shida won the match here, so that was pretty good. We had the Best Friends here taking on Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa here. The stipulation was that the name Best Friends was on the line here in the match. Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa do have a history going back to Japan, so that's kind of the genesis of this. And of course, Orange Cassidy was in the corner of the Best Friends here. Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. I thought it was decent stuff here, not bad. The real Best Friends, of course, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, ultimately got the win here. They hit the strong zero on Nakazawa to get the win, and then ultimately in the end, they all the guys in the ring do hug out and they do the zoom out here to give everyone what they want to see. So that was kind of cool here. So the right team won here, anyways. We got another Jon Moxley, Jake Hager video package here, hyping up their upcoming title match here in the future. And then we got Matt Hardy. We got a Matt Hardy promo from his compound in North Carolina, basically talking about challenging Chris Jericho to an elite deletion. So we're clearly going to get a match here between Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho down the line here. I thought this was decent. It was okay. Next match on the card, we have Brody Lee taking on Lee Johnson here. Pretty much a squash here. Brody Lee won with the rolling lariat clothesline, so Brody Lee continues along strong. They did a deal as well with Brody Lee. They had him outside in one of these skits, these promos, talking to the members of the Dark Order here. Apparently, he was very impressed with one of the members of the Dark Order that was there with him. He was all dressed up, and the other two were not, so he wasn't nearly as happy with them. He was more impressed with the guy dressed up. And basically, that was it. There wasn't a whole lot of Vince McMahon references this time. I think they toned it back, which I think is the right move. We don't need to be seeing all the Vince McMahon references all the time here, but we see Brody was still dressed up, so clearly, even though they're saying it has nothing to do with Vince McMahon, it's pretty much having to do with Vince McMahon. Your main event here for the night here was Cody Rhodes taking on Shawn Spears in the TNT Championship Tournament semifinals match here. It's a good match. It's decent, I thought. They did a deal here, and I don't know if I may have seen it maybe once or twice before. Cody actually had the figure 4 locked in on Shawn Spears, and they actually did the deal instead of a submission. They did this deal where Shawn Spears' shoulders were actually counted down for 3 while he was in the figure 4, and Cody actually wound up getting the win that way. I think I've only seen that maybe at least one time that I can remember. It was way back when Ric Flair and Macho Man Randy Savage had a match for the WWF at the time title. And I think it was a primetime taping in Hershey, if I remember right. They did the deal where Ric Flair had the figure 4 Macho Man. This was when Macho Man was a champion, and Ric Flair wound up winning with the figure 4 because Macho had passed out. So that was the other time I can remember. So that was it. So that was AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite. It took place from the Nightmare Factory in Norcross, Georgia. Let's go over the ratings for this week. They are in. We have in this week's week 27 of the battle, NXT actually won the Wednesday Night War this week. They topped AEW in viewership by just 1,000 viewers. NXT won with 693,000 viewers for the week. That is up 17% from last week. And AEW had 692,000. They were up 1% from last week. So they won by just a tenth of a point here. AEW ranked 32nd for the night in the cable, 150 in the demo, while NXT ranked 51st in the demo. AEW ranked 79th in viewership, while NXT was 73rd. Last week's Dynamite did 685,000 viewers and ranked 37th in the demo and 73rd in viewership. NXT did 590,000 viewers last week, ranked 74th in the demo and 79th in the viewership. This week's episode was the second lowest Dynamite viewership of 2020 going back to last week, and it's also their third lowest viewership in history. AEW did a 0.26 rating in the 18 to 49 demo, which was up 1% from last week, while NXT did a 0.19, which was up 27% from last week. Last week's AEW did a 0.25 while NXT did a 0.15. AEW's 0.26 rating is tied for the November 27th and March 11th episodes for the second lowest ever. So NXT actually got a win here this week for a change. So it's just their fourth win. NXT leads pretty handily right now. They lead 22 weeks to 4 weeks for NXT, and then we had the one tie. Special report on Fox News topped the night in viewership in the 18 to 49 demo on cable with a 0.64 rating and 5.531 million viewers. Chicago Med on NBC topped the night on network television in viewership with 9.071 million viewers. The Masked Singer on Fox topped the night in the demo with a 2.1 rating. As for my pick of the week, I'm actually going to go with, it's very close. I'm going to go with NXT. Just barely, I think, this week. Very close, but I just like the two matches they had. The ladder match and the Gargano-Ciampa match I thought were pretty good. Nothing really wrong with AEW. I thought Jericho's commentary was pretty good. I thought the matches were kind of okay here. But yeah, I just thought NXT, the two big matches they had, I thought were just a little bit better than what AEW offered this week. So through 25 weeks, I believe, NXT has 15 picks from me and AEW has 10 picks. So that's what we have as far as that action goes.